When Aiden stood under the fading golden light of the evening, he looked like a man who had been holding himself together for far too long, his tired eyes carrying stories of sleepless nights and silent heartbreaks. And when Emily finally walked toward him on that quiet lakeside path, she instantly felt the heaviness in his presence. Something fragile, something wounded, something breaking silently behind the strength he was pretending to show, because this was the day she had chosen to end their 4-year relationship, not because she didn't love him anymore but because she believed he deserved better than the burden of her chaotic life, her debt, her anxiety, her biggest insecurities, and the fear that she was slowly becoming someone who would hold him back from the future he worked so hard to build. She thought letting him go was the right thing, even if it shattered her own world in the process, and when he asked her softly, "Can I have one last hug?" she nodded, not realizing that this single embrace was about to break every wall she had built around her heart, because the moment his arms wrapped around her, she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Safety, home, belonging, love, the kind of love that doesn't beg, doesn't force, doesn't cage, but simply exists, pure and unconditional. And in that long, painful silence pressed against his chest, she heard his heartbeat tremble, uneven, wounded, like it was trying to speak in a language words couldn't carry, and his breath shook against her hair as if he was memorizing her scent for the last time, trying to etch this final moment into his soul forever. And that's when she felt something warm fall on her shoulder, a tear, his tear, followed by another, and suddenly she realized how deeply she had misjudged everything, because the man who rarely cried, who always stayed calm, who always carried strength like armor, was breaking right there, breaking because of her decision, breaking because she was walking away from a love he believed was worth every fight, every storm, every uncertainty. Her own tears burst out uncontrollably the moment it hit her that the man she was leaving wasn't hurt from betrayal or anger, but from the simple truth that she didn't trust herself enough to stay, didn't believe she was enough for him, didn't understand that he chose her not because she was perfect but because she was hers. She tightened her arms around him, feeling his body shaking softly, and whispered, "Aiden, I'm sorry. I thought I was protecting you." And his voice cracked as he murmured, "I never asked you to protect me. I only ever asked you to stay." And that sentence, simple, honest, raw, destroyed every justification she had rehearsed for weeks, because the truth was she didn't want to leave him, she never wanted to, she was just scared of becoming a burden. But in that hug, she realized she had broken him more deeply than life ever had, and when he finally let her go, his eyes glistened with a painful acceptance as he whispered, "I'll always love you, Emily, even if it's from far away," then turned around slowly, taking a few steps away from her, each step sounding like a chapter closing. And she felt her knees weaken, her chest burning, her breath shattering, as if the world itself was begging her to run after him, to fix what she was breaking, to choose love over fear. But guilt froze her in place. Days passed, then weeks, and every night she replayed that hug in her mind. The trembling heartbeat, the warmth of his chest, the weight of his tears, and something inside her kept screaming that she had made the biggest mistake of her life, that the emptiness she felt wasn't freedom but loss. A loss she had created with her own hands, and one rainy night, unable to stand the silence any longer, she finally wrote him a long message, apologizing, begging him to meet her just once so she could explain, so she could hold him again, so she could fix the wound she caused. But Aiden never responded, not because he hated her, but because he was trying to heal, trying to stand again after being emotionally collapsed by the only woman he ever loved so deeply. Months later, fate intervened. She saw him at a charity event, standing quietly near the back, looking kinder, softer, wiser, but with a sadness still lingering in his eyes. And when he saw her, he froze, not with anger or pain, but with an overwhelming wave of memories. And she walked toward him with trembling hands and whispered, "Aiden, remember that last hug?" And he nodded quietly, unsure of what to expect, and she took a shaky breath and said, "I felt your heart breaking, and mine has never stopped hurting since. I'm here because I want to fix us. If you'll let me." And for the first time in many months, he didn't look away. He stepped closer, lifted her chin gently, and whispered, "Then don't let go this time." And as she wrapped her arms around him, not as a goodbye, but as a beginning, the warmth of his embrace returned like sunlight after a long winter, and this time, she cried not from regret, but from the overwhelming, healing truth that some love stories break just so they can be rebuilt stronger than ever.